揭露不為人知內幕真相。因新港蘇豪國情揭露。
現請甄先生發言，大家掌聲有請。
好，謝謝。好，謝謝韓先生，謝謝主持人，也謝謝我們部長Dicky球員。坐在我旁邊的是我們黨的這個立法會議員，也是香港最年輕的立法會議員，他會跟我在回答問題的時候呢，幫我們一起解釋問題。Okay. And today's topic is the practice of one country, two systems in Hong Kong, with implications for the future of Tibet. One country, two systems is a state policy put forward by China's late leader Deng Xiaoping. According to him, in order to achieve unification and under the premises of there is only one China, Hong Kong may retain its capitalist system and lifestyle for a long time to come. Practically, it means that Hong Kong's special administration region, I will refer to as Hong Kong later, okay, can exercise a high degree of autonomy in accordance with the law and is vested with executive, legislative, and independent judicial power, including that of final adjudication, besides foreign and national defense affairs. At the beginning of 1983, Chinese government has already formulated 12 basic policies regarding the province of Hong Kong, the question of Hong Kong, promising that under this arrangement, the current social and economic institutions of Hong Kong would remain unchanged, and so with the lifestyle and freedoms, including those of speech, of the press, assembly, and of religious belief, would be ensured. All these commitments were embodied in a basic law passed in the third session of the 7th National People's Congress, I refer to hereafter as NPC, on April 4, 1990. The people of Hong Kong had come to crossroads in the night of July 1st, 1997, as they helplessly witnessed the unprecedented turning over of sovereignty to China. While the people of Hong Kong were left with no choice, they chose to bravely embrace the yet unknown future with determination and optimism. According to the stipulations of Article 45 and 68, and also of Annex 1 and Annex 2 of the Basic Law, Hong Kong will have the rights to elect the Chief Executive and all members of the Legislative Council by universal suffrage after 10 years of transition period. The content of these articles are so clear and strong that the people of Hong Kong were expecting and at the same time striving hard to make necessary preparation. Unfortunately, the whole thing turned sour as the date for universal suffrage was drawing near. Originally, according to Basic Law Annex 1 and 2, the way to amend the method of electing the Chief Executive and the Legislative Council is to obtain the endorsement of 2/3 majority of the members of the Legislative Council and the consent of the Chief Executive, and then they shall be reported to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress for approval in case of the Chief Executive and putting into record in case of the Legislative Council. That means they don't have to be approved, only putting into record. However, on April 6, 2004, that means only 7 years after, the NPC suddenly changed the rule. They said, in order to initiate the process of amending the method of election, the chief executive has to make a report to the NPC. And then the NPC in turn will make a decision in the light of the actual progress and the actual situation of Hong Kong and decide whether this process will be initiated. This is a very important change. Before, according to the basic law, we only have 3 steps, right? First of all, we have 2/3 majority endorsement by the Legislative Council. And then the chief executive is obliged to report to the NPC for approval in case of the chief executive. In case of the Legislative Council, for putting into record. Now, they add 2 more steps. The first step, that you have to the chief executive has to make a report to the NPC to ask for the permission to initiate the process. That means 5 steps, okay? So, no matter 5 steps or 3 steps, we still think they honor, their promise of, after 10 years transitional period, then we will enjoy the election of both by universal suffrage. But, so, that means 2007 and 2008, because, the chief executive will have 5 years term, and the Legislative Council we have a 4 years term. So, 2008 to 2007 for the Legislative Council, and 2008 for the chief executive, right? That will be the time for us to enjoy, the so-called, the election by universal suffrage. But in the same decision of 2004, they said, subsequent to 2007 means including 2007. That means, another term delay, right? But, actually, it didn't mean that. We all knew, it didn't mean that, but it suddenly changed the game. But there is another significance of, the change. By changing, the 3 steps process into 5 steps, that means that we have to surrender our right of initiating the change from the hands of the people of Hong Kong to the hands of the central government. That is a very important change. But no matter what, at that time, there's nothing we could do, but we tried to face the reality, still with enthusiasm. But we have doubt already. We will rather wait and see how this promise will be broken again. But in fact, the Chinese government is so I don't know how to explain it, but in fact, it didn't take too long for the Chinese government to act on the contrary. Right after the decision, there are officials of all different parts of and different departments of the central government and their politics in Hong Kong are spreading the winds that there will be no real election by universal suffrage in Hong Kong, not by official channel, but they're spreading the winds. So last year, they published a white paper at the beginning of this year. In a chapter, in one chapter, that named it fully and accurately understanding and implementing the policy of one country, 2 systems. Fully and accurately understanding it. They said, China, as a unitary state, China's central government has comprehensive jurisdiction over all local administrative regions, including Tibet. All. The high degree of autonomy of Hong Kong is not an inherent power, but one that comes solely from the authorization by the central leadership. It sounds very bad, right? And they also reiterate, the high degree of autonomy of the Hong Kong SAR is not full autonomy, nor a decentralized power. So there are lines and criteria to be observed in implementing Hong Kong people governing Hong Kong. And they are that Hong Kong must be governed by Hong Kong people with patriots as mainstay. That means patriots governing Hong Kong. The mainly based on the principles and logic embedded in the white paper, the Standing Committee is expecting to proclaim the election of Chief Executive and also of the Legislative Council in these few days. And now we know they will proclaim it on the 1st of September, that means a few days after from now. But from the discussion with Chinese officials responsible for Hong Kong affairs before, a skeleton of the whole process has been drawn awaiting proclamation. That means we all know the result. A nomination committee of 1,200 members will be formed, with patriots and Portuguese constitute the majority of it. That means the majority of them are pro-China. And in fact, a substantial number of them are Communist CCP members. And all candidates, in order to expected to run for the election, they have to get more than half of the support of the committee in order to be official candidate. That is chosen by them. Okay. As a whole, not only in this in terms of changing the institution, the Hong Kong government, in cooperation with China's intention, is beginning to tighten up the freedom of speech, of press and assembly. Okay. And in fact, most of the printed media and as well as the electronic media have mostly fallen into the hands of patriots within these few years. And also, the lifestyle of Hong Kong has been facing great impact. As we have 150 immigrants from mainland China. Just consider, that was the past 70 years, you see how many of them. And not mentioning of more than 50 million Chinese visitors visiting Hong Kong every year. So, the whole lifestyle and order of Hong Kong has been changed. Under this predicament, Tibetan people and the Hong Kong people have left no choice but to think of what is to be done. Unless the new leadership under Xi Jinping has new perspectives on autonomy, it has become clearer and clearer that the middle road advocated by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, is unlikely to be accepted by China. It is also the case in Hong Kong. With the government's stepping up the suppression, the road to democracy in Hong Kong is getting narrower. Therefore, the people of Hong Kong will not hesitate to stand up for civil disobedience, including occupying the financial center of the city, should China NPC proclaim in these few days that Hong Kong can only enjoy a castrated electoral system. Our action might still be minimal compared to Tibet's March 14 incident and more than 130 self-immolation protests. We definitely appreciate and bear in mind the teaching of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, especially his policy of love and mercy. But when all the goodwill are being maliciously neglected, a Gandhi style of massive non-violent civil disobedience movement my will be the only option now. Make up, tell us all. Thank you.
好，谢谢郑哥啊。